Hey everybody, thanks for coming back and hanging out with me again. So I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, one of my favorite things to eat, and kind of is still today, was orange pineapple ice cream. Today we're going to take that to the next level and we're going to make orange pineapple mead. Stay tuned. Okay, so as I said, we're going to be making orange pineapple mead today. So the things that you're going to need for this, obviously, is 2 navel oranges. I've got those big ones. It's that time of year, and these things come out nice. And then I'm also going to be using 2 cans of pineapple chunks. That is in 100% pineapple juice. Now we've got all of our equipment laid out here. Everything's already been sterilized, so we've got our sanitation bucket right here, and that we're using 2.5 gallons of hot water with Star San sanitizer in there. We're using a half an ounce. So they say 1 ounce per 5 gallons. So since we've got 2.5 gallons here, we've gone ahead and used half an ounce. Now we also have in here our spray bottle filled with sanitation water as well, so also coming right out of here. We've gone ahead and we've sprayed everything down. Everything that you see here on the counter has already been sanitized in the bucket. But if we need to spray anything quick as well, we've got this. You will also need, obviously, honey. We're going to be using 3 pounds of honey. You use 3 pounds per gallon of water. We will be using the Lalvin EC-1118 yeast. This is a workhorse of a yeast, so this works well for us. And right now we've got the temperature for the water coming up to the correct temperature for rehydrating it. So we're going to rehydrate the yeast first before we throw it into our bucket here. And according to the instructions, it says to rehydrate between 95 and 98.6 degrees. Right now we are at 102 degrees, so as soon as that gets down to about 98.6, we'll go ahead and toss our yeast in. To add tannins to our yeast, we're going to be adding a cup of tea, and we're using Black Currant tea. This happens to be, one of the people asked on one of the comments what type of tea I'm using. So this is Black Currant, and it's from Twinings of London. So my wife likes to drink tea. I don't drink tea, but I steal her tea and use it for the mead. Obviously, since we're going to be using some oranges, and even the oranges, by the way, went into the sanitation water. So obviously I did it before I cut them up, but since we're going to be throwing them in peel and all, we're going to cut them up, quarter them, and toss them into our bucket. Because of the fact we've got the outside peels, we still want to have that sanitized as well. We've got a scale that we'll be using to make sure we've got the right amount of honey that we're putting in here. Obviously you're going to need a sharp knife, and we're going to use a slotted spatula to be able to stir everything up, agitate everything, get oxygen in there before we seal it all up. Cutting board. And very important is we have our hydrometer here, and this is going to tell us about what alcohol content our mead is going to end up at once everything's done. One thing I almost forgot is we're going to be using a turkey baster to be able to suck the must out of here and put it into here to use our hydrometer. So before we do that, though, we need to go ahead and sterilize it. Okay. And we're going to set that aside right there. Again, everything over there has been sanitized as well. Make our honey easier to pour, we're going to go ahead and set this into some hot water and let that sit for about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes in the hot water, and then it's going to pour a lot easier into here. While we get this soaking, or while this is soaking, we're going to go ahead and get everything else ready. Okay, so our temperature is actually at 95 degrees right now. We're going to go ahead and put our yeast into our hot water here to reactivate it. You know, previously I tried to do just a half a packet, and that worked out well. It's fermenting. The other batches of mead, they're fermenting away downstairs right now. It's going quite well, actually. But I'm terrible at eyeballing half a packet. So I would end up with like 3/4 of a packet in one, and then I'm going to do another batch and I've only got 1/4 of a packet left. I'm like, okay, well I gotta go open up another packet. It won't hurt if you throw in a whole packet. And honestly, I buy these over at Bell's Brewery and I'm only paying 90 cents for a packet. So it's not like it's gonna break me. We'll go ahead and get that mixed up a little bit there. We're gonna let that sit about 20 minutes while we get everything else ready. I'm just going to take the lid off here, set that over here in our prepping area, and I'm going to pop off the very tops here. And I'm just going to quarter these things, maybe 6 them, maybe 8 them. Okay, and then we're just going to dump these. Yeah. And drop these right in here. I had 2 oranges. I think 1 orange should be enough for 1 gallon. Again, so folks, this is an experiment. I'm experimenting a lot with this. Is it going to come out good? I don't know. We'll find out together though. So now I'm planning on using 2 cans of the Dole pineapple chunks and 100% pineapple juice. Main thing is I wanted in 100% pineapple juice. I just wanted straight up pineapple. I didn't want the syrup. Go ahead and dump that in. Be careful of the sharp lids, kids. All right. Smells really good. Of course it does. It's pineapple. And yes, it does go on pizza. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our tea in here as well. Get this off the table. And we're going to add in our water. Now remember, so we're adding in 1 gallon of water. We've already added in a cup of tea, so that counts for our liquid as well. So we are actually going to measure that amount off. Take that, set that aside. We will use it to water my wife's plants. Then we'll just go ahead and fill in the rest of the water into our 2-gallon bucket. So we get a 2-gallon bucket for a 1 gallon batch of mead. Because we add in our other ingredients, it's going to go up beyond that 1 gallon mark. Okay, so we've got that in there. Our water, or our honey should be just about ready. We're going to give this a little bit of a mix here. Okay, so now at this point here, we're going to place our beginning must onto our scale here. Now again, we want to use 3 pounds of honey. I still have honey left over from the last batch that I made. So I'm going to put my must onto my scale here, and then I'm just going to add weight. I'm going to add honey until it hits 3 pounds. The scale is zeroed out. Now notice how much smoother that pours out because of the fact we warmed it up first. And quite often when I'm making it myself, I'll take some of the water out of there, I'll throw it in there, swish it around, get the rest of it out. And we'll pour until we hit 3 pounds. And there we go. Right at 3. Now we're going to use our slotted spatula here to get everything stirred up well. Actually take it off the scale. Now in previous videos when I was mashing up the berries for either the Viking's Blood mead or the Dragon's Breath mead, check out those videos as well. Those are a fun experiment. Those are fermenting away downstairs. We got another couple weeks on those ones and then we can chase them. We are going to take our hydrometer reading. So before I would use something to push everything down. I didn't want to get any particles in here because of the fact the oranges are not going to fit in here, and neither will the chunks of pineapple. And again, keep in mind everything's sterilized. So when we get done with this here, people say, don't put it back in there. It'll be fine to put back in here. But again, the reason why is because it was already sanitized. Now, when we put our hydrometer in here, there are some bubbles right at the very top here. We're going to, as it goes in, it's going to, some of those bubbles may stick to it. We're just going to give it a spin to try and help knock off any of those bubbles. And we're at about the 18 mark. What about the 18% mark? So what that will end up doing is the yeast won't be able to eat up everything that's in here. Put that back in our sanitation bucket for our next round. The yeast won't be able to eat up all the sugar that's in here and convert it all to alcohol. There will be some that's still left over. So when this one here is about 18%, we'll write it on it. When it gets done fermenting, we'll take another reading and we'll see what it says there, and then we'll subtract the new reading from our current reading. So if it gets to drops down and we see, hey, it's got about 2% left on it, well, then we take the 2% or the 3%, whatever it is, subtract it from the 18%. That gives us our approximately ABV. Now we're going to go ahead. We have rehydrated the yeast. We're going to go ahead and see if we can get it activated. We're going to actually take some of the must from here. It has the sugar in it. And we're going to add it to our yeast here. Not a lot, that should be enough. Okay, and this can go back into a bucket. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover up our starter. Get that out of the way. And we're going to let this activate. It should go ahead and start bubbling up as it starts taking on to the sugar from our must here that we put in there. In the meantime, kids, we're going to cover our must here. We just want to keep any loose particles from getting in there while we wait for this to activate. That's going to take about 20 minutes, and we'll come back to the magic of movies. Okay, now as you can see, we've got the yeast starting to ferment what we've got here. So we are going to take the plastic off, get it activated, and we're going to get it pitched into our must. Okay, so with our yeast activated, we are simply going to take this off, set this right here, take our yeast, pitch it. I don't know why they call it a pitching, but and pour it right in to our must. Take our slotted spatula and get it all mixed up in there. We're going to get some good aeration in there. The yeast is going to need the air as it converts the sugar into alcohol. Try not to make a mess all over the counter. Otherwise my wife is going to get mad. Now remember on the other videos I used frozen fruit. I used the frozen berries to burst open the cell membranes and allow more juice and everything to get through. I didn't do that with the pineapple. I didn't go with frozen pineapple because my thinking is that the pineapple itself is already so fibrous that I don't think that we need to start freezing it and unfreezing it. Same thing with the oranges. So we've got that stirred up. We've got some good aeration in there. Now as we put the lid on, I've used in our airlock here, I've got some of the Star San sanitized water in here. That's going to kill anything that tries to get down into our mead. And as we put the lid on, make sure that you've got the airlock on the opposite side of your handle, because you don't want to end up with trying to deal with that. So we'll just put it over on the side here. We're going to seal it. And we're going to mark it. We're going to write down everything that we've already done. Because remember, kids, if you're doing experiments, it's not science if you don't write it down. So we're going to make sure that we've got everything written down and date and mark this container as well. We're going to put it with all the rest of our mead that we have downstairs that is fermenting away, and we're going to give this probably about 30 days as well, and go from there. In the meantime, if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. You'll get notified of other videos that we do. And don't forget to check out the other videos that I have out there. We've got a traditional mead that we did a 5-gallon batch of. We've got a couple experimental meads out there. We've got Viking's Blood, and we've also got Dragon's Breath. So check out those videos. Leave a link in the comments below. If you make mead videos, leave a link down there. I'm sure other people would want to be interested in seeing your videos as well. Again, I do it. I'm having fun with it. It's an experiment. Is it going to turn out well? I don't know. Does it really matter? No, because I'm having a good time. I'm having fun. So I hope that you have fun making your mead. And again, give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I'll have a subscription button over here. I'll have a couple other videos over here. If you're interested, go ahead and click on them. Please share the video out on your social media sites, on Facebook and any other social media sites that you're using. In the meantime, thanks for hanging out with Hodge, and we'll see you next time.